about your driving there, and I understand, yeah, that you were a very accurate driver, but not particularly long. But then get up around the greens, you're absolutely deadly. And you had this putter. I understand it was an original Arnold Palmer putter that you were very protective of.
Arnold Palmer original, yeah. And when I met Mel Tung years later, I still had it. And he said, Lance, he said, not many people with this Arnold Palmer original. He said, you haven't got the box, have you? And I said, yeah. And it's at home. He said, that's worth more money than the putter.
Right.
So that day I went flying home and Mum said, oh, no, I burnt that years ago. Oh, yeah.
So I'm just looking at those names that were kind of in and around the era there as you're winning your club champs. You mentioned Tony Proctor. Was it Steve Crichton, another one that you would have come up against?
Yeah, Stephen. He was the best. He could hit it far. He hit it along with that boy. But getting back to what you said, Tony Proctor, he got me in to the Wellington team. I was named reserve. And Tony went up to the selectors and they said, why the last 4 tournaments, Lance has beaten every person in the Wellington team. Why aren't we giving him a chance? They said, no, he's not ready yet. He's not ready. And the Southland Invitational was no reserves travelled. So they went and saw Tony and they said, you're going to be playing this year? And Tony says, yeah. So then they said, oh, Lance, we're sorry, but you're going to be a non-travelling reserve. And then Tony came up to me about an hour later and he said, I've just pulled out. So they have to put you in. So anyway, he gave me, I will never ever forget Tony for doing that. So he gave me a chance. In the following year, it was my first year at the Tower at Otatara again. Yep. And here I mean, you cannot believe how nervous I was, and the boys were saying, "Come on, Lance, come on, don't be nervous." Anyway, I teed off, and I think it went 26 yards or 27 yards, rolled down off the tee, down the hill. Someone yelled out, "Well, at least it's in the middle of the fairway, Lance." Anyway, so I hit a 4-iron second, and to try and place how we'd planned how to play the hole. It was a short thing. Then hold a 9-iron for 3, and they're all on the tee. Oh, he's away now, eh? And I got player of the tournament that year, won 7 from 7.
Is that right? And so you went on and you played. How long did you play for Wellington? Was it?
I played 10 years.
10 years
for Wellington. Two in the top 10, and then I finally got into the top 5.
We've interviewed in the series Michael Campbell, who I understand you played alongside in the
me and Michael roomed together all the time for about 5 years.
Mel Tung was your coach?
Yeah, then Mel Tung and Wellington. Yeah, Mel just kept on saying, belly, you don't wear a belt, Lance, belly button. It was buckled to the target. He just said belly button to the target, Lance. I just always remember that. Yeah, he was good. At the levels invitational when we won the Tower, 4 of us, were at the meeting, and to Mel was very hard on meetings, and Scarhill and Cambo, they didn't turn up, and they were about 5 minutes late.
Right. And
Mel said he opened the door, it was in his room, and he said, "Oh, we'll shut the door, boys, and go." And he said, "Why is that? We're having a meeting, not when you're 5 minutes late." So I said to Mel, that's a bit harsh. She said, would you like to go too, Lance? And I go, well, no. so Mel was a tough man, but yeah, to him, meetings was the first thing.
It's quite interesting you should talk about Mel being strict, because I've listened to Mel talk at an after dinner in an after dinner speech, and he talks about the Lance Phelps rule.
Oh yeah, I had a rule. Yeah, everyone else is allowed one drink, and he didn't. And they said, "Well, how many is Lance?" He said, "Oh, when he comes home, when he's ready."
So it sounds like he's a little bit more relaxed on you, Lance, fortunately.
Yeah.
But it's quite interesting in that same after dinner speech, he described you. The question was asked, who's one of the most talented golfers that you've seen play? And of course, in a lot of the forefront of our minds were, because he did coach the US Open winner, Michael Campbell, and through that period where Michael was came third in the Open Championship, and his reply was the most talented golfer he'd seen was Lance Phelps.
Oh, I think he's been very, very nice.
It begs the question, Lance, with that amount of talent, and you're talking about Stephen Scahill and Cambo that obviously turned professional and went on to the tour and other successes. Was there ever a hankering from yourself, or did you ever have a desire to perhaps go down that line, or were you happy with the amateur track that you were treading?
I just loved the game. Yeah, I love playing. I don't think money was ever going to be an issue playing. I don't think in my heart, I couldn't, with the bigger players on the bigger tour, I just don't think I had that yardage. I got a nickname called the Mexican Bear, accuracy of Jack Nicklaus and the hands of Lee Trevino.
Right, okay.
So, yeah, that stayed for a long time. So, yeah.
So whilst you didn't turn professional, you obviously played in some professional events. And obviously during that period where you were winning club championships, the New Zealand Open was a regular at Paraparaumu Beach. And
yeah,
I understand the club champion used to get entry into the New Zealand Open during those years. Is that correct?
Yeah, we got free entry. Well, exemption, I should say, not entry. Yeah. I qualified twice and come second and third in the amateurs, and Cambo and Tony Christie beat me.
What was your first experience in the New Zealand Open?
Pure nerves and dread. I don't know. It was, yeah, but meeting great players come, eh?
What was the first New Zealand Open you teed it up in?
Oh, I couldn't tell you. Sorry, Leo. I should have tried to look it up.
Oh, that's all right. So, I mean, was it the one that Corey Pavin won in '84, or was it later when Ian Stanley, '88?
Oh yeah, it was. Yeah, Corey. Yeah, I went and watched Corey Pavin on the putting green. I just watched him, and he was putting these 10-footers. Just that's all he putted. And there's me on right beside him, so people could see me and along with him. And I went up to him and I said, "How come you're not putting the 3-footers and the 30-footers?" He said, I don't hit them that far away and I don't hit them that close, but I hit them to 10 feet all day. So and I thought, you're having me on. But so I don't know if he just said that to me. But, yeah.
You touched on Paul Davenport before. I mean, Paul was the leading amateur that year in 1984, which is an incredible feat. I think he said he was 17 years of age or something, so just quite young to have done so well.
He was an amazing player. Good striker of the ball, distance, incredible. Yeah, he should have gone further, that boy. And he proved himself over in the Canadian Open and the Canadian Tour and tested.
Yep. So your last club championships was in 1992. Lance, do you remember that particular match who you played?
Yeah, that was the 8-hole Frank. Oh, Frankie! I won on the 38th hole.
Oh wow, extra holes. Okay.
Yeah, and he had me. He had me. I had a poor second on the 18th, and I still had about a 6-iron in, and he was on the green for 2, and then I hit a 6-iron to about 2 inches, and then for some reason he was 1 up, and he went for the eagle, and he didn't have to go for the eagle. And then he charged it about 5 feet past, and he gave me a bit of a break. And didn't get the return.
I see. So, Frank went on and won some club championships after that, after you gave a little bit of respite and a bit of a chance to the rest of the field, Lance. There was another young kid, or he would have been young at that stage. He's obviously a little bit older now, but he started a charge very similar to yourself. He's got 8 club championships with us now, and I understand you play a fair bit of golf, or you played a fair bit of golf with him, and still have the occasional game these days. Sean Richards.
Yeah, he is a great. He can hit it. He can make shots where no one can make shots. He is a talented player, that boy. I thought he had more talent than Scarzy and Michael Campbell, but you can't say that because those boys did a lot, hey? But yeah, he's a great player. I used to love playing foursomes with Sean. He'd say, now, you play those roles, I'll play these ones. So I didn't even get a chance. And then sure enough, we never lost a game, me and him playing foursome. Yeah, I think I played about 18 years of Duncan Cup. And you know how you got your foursomes and your singles. And never in the 18 years I lost 2 games in a day. Right. But I had Sean Richards, Martin Webber, and Tony Proctor roughly. They were my 3 foursome players, and we just won every game. Yeah. Tony Proctor, we used to call him Peter Perfect. He would be a cold, southerly day, and Tony's played 36 holes and his shoes are brand new and his hair's immaculate. He walks through a waterfall without an umbrella and he comes out the other side dry. Yeah. He's my favourite player at the Paraparaumu Beach Golf Club.